Duke, whatever your last name is, come on down.
Duke is actually part of my last name.
So. Duke Soares is your last name, right? The is your first name?
No, Dukes is my last name, and I just took a piece of it.
I've heard it both ways.
Sure.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Yeah,
what are we doing?
Long time no speak. This is the Survivor Series prediction show.
What? Already?
Already, yes. The road to WrestleMania begins tonight.
I thought it began like the day after WrestleMania.
I think that's the NFL moniker where it's like tomorrow, like during the commercial, the Super Bowl. It's like tomorrow, everyone is in first place.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, well, my team hasn't been in the playoffs in 20-something years, but okay, you just made me feel better, NFL. Thank you.
Yeah, I was gonna say, except the Browns and the Bills, you'll just never be in first place.
Bills would continuously be a 2-game under 500 team for like 30 years. It
really sucks
sad.
Because they were so close for so long, and then
why does this topic always come up when I talk about other things? I could be talking about, somebody like, hey, that's a good car. How many miles you have on it? Oh, I have this mile. What kind of tires? Yeah. Oh man, it sucks about the Bills lost those 4 Super Bowls, right? It's like, yo, where the hell did that come from? But
all right. But back on the positive, I think let's talk Survivor Series, and I think it would make most sense for us to talk about the build over the past week. So let's talk go home shows.
Yeah,
Raw.
We talked about the build for the past few weeks actually, and it's
sure.
more been talking here, the different teams working against each other, working out their differences, stuff like that. You still have those
generally stupid.
Yeah, you still have those rivalries inside, and every show took the same format where whatever representative for that team, they were going to face each other, and it just seems so like cookie cutter booked the past few weeks because again, it was the same template. We have a team, they have issues with each other, we make them fight each other and stuff like that. Then all of a sudden, we're all on the same page, Duke. Every single person on the same page.
Goats.
I have a couple goods and a couple bads for our go home shows going into Survivor Series.
Let me guess. The goods are on SmackDown and the bads are on Raw.
It is 1-1 actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That's fair. I thought you were actually going to go the exact opposite way because I could.
No, I could too. But here is what I kind of liked. I'll give one that I kind of liked, and I don't know, you can talk about whatever, and I'll give you what I really hated. I loved the confrontation at the end of Raw. I loved everything about the confrontation at the end of Raw. Here are a few reasons why. One, because when we did the brand split, nobody has come across from the other side, except for Randy Orton and Goldberg initially. But ever since we started doing the Survivor Series build, like, they haven't, like, thrown that in our face every week.
Yeah, because Orton and Lesnar, that match was already booked prior to.
Right,
so
it just happened. They were on different shows.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, was shocking and surprising when it happened as well.
Yeah, of course.
Because of the camera angles and all sorts of that. But everything leading up to it, SmackDown coming down, Shane having the backup, Stephanie calling in the troops, Shane having the backup. Here, I guess what every good is a bad. Now, I'm going to keep the good part of this. The promos, the whole what the hell is that by Chris Jericho talking about James Ellsworth. That was hysterical. Like
selling the list.
Roman Reigns could not stop laughing.
Yeah.
It was so good. And like overselling being put on the list. But that's his character. Like he cares so much about wrestling and people that he got put on the list and that hurt him emotionally. So like it just worked. And even Ambrose taking the mic and pacing back and forth before just punching Chris Jericho. I thought all of that was good. Even the ending, the whole let's Shield powerbomb AJ Styles through the whole SmackDown team. I thought that was a great fitting end to the show to set up Survivor Series, but we had another night. And the next night was a anniversary show, Duke, a 900th episode show that followed basically the best possible go home show you can have for Survivor Series, And what did they really do on SmackDown?
They just kind of did the opposite, and it didn't, and not all of it actually made sense, in my opinion.
Okay, so let's hold on to what didn't make sense. Was there anything you liked about the Go Home shows?
Uh,
Either one?
Shows. Honestly, I like Taker. Like that may be something you didn't like, but I liked Taker,
No, I did.
and I liked how he was sort of the common thread of the evening with the teases. I really liked how they did the teases.
Yes.
I don't think they've done teases like that. I don't.
You
remember
can't.
the
You
last
haven't
time
had
they've
anybody
done.
that electric in a while to
Fair
do
enough.
things like that.
Fair enough.
They've
but,
tried to do it, but they really haven't. I mean, they tried to do the whole when Jericho came back. They had his silhouette with his arms stretched out. You know, way back in the day. Like, but you just can't do certain things with certain characters forced, like you can with Undertaker's hat just being there.
Yeah, and his shadow and everything.
Yeah.
I mean, it was very, very well done. And then I liked his message. I liked the idea of he's back. He's not just here for WrestleMania. He's back for SmackDown and to make SmackDown the show, which I don't know if we'll get to that tonight, but maybe we'll talk about it after we record because I feel like that's foreshadowing of a couple of different things actually.
AJ versus Undertaker and the need for heels. Well, no, actually, need for additional people in the main event.
Well, that and also Cena versus Undertaker, but we can talk about that later.
Yeah, absolutely.
But anyway, Taker, I really liked how he was used, and I liked his energy because it was somewhere between American Badass and the Dead Man, and I liked that. Like that's my favorite. That's my favorite Undertaker is the guy who doesn't just roll his eyes in the back of his head and talk with a gravelly voice, but the guy who talks like he has the aura of the Undertaker, but he talks more like a normal human being.
Right.
That's the Taker I enjoy because you get more out of him that way, So anyway,
absolutely.
Yeah, I liked everything about what they did with Taker, beginning to end.
Can I tell you why I really didn't like SmackDown? And really quick, just to not drag this out to an hour and a half show into itself.
Sure.
But like Ziggler didn't even get a title defense, but I get it. Miz having this title to fight against Sami Zayn at Survivor Series with the stake of the Intercontinental Championship on the line is a little bit more important than having Ziggler have a win. But man, what did Ziggler do in his life to really, when he gets championship runs, just to lose them like right away? That's unfortunate. The second thing I didn't like, and this is like the biggest thing I didn't like, and it ties into the ending of Raw as well. Charlotte and the women coming down to attack SmackDown and the women, and most importantly, the part where Sasha Banks and Bayley were beating up a defenseless Nikki Bella for really no reason at all. And they want to talk about being role models and stuff like that. But at the same time, like we talk about, they're just doing things now because the guys do it on TV. So we had the men beat people
just
up.
Just do the exact opposite, yeah.
Yeah, except just for the women. And it doesn't fit. It doesn't fit characters. It doesn't fit storylines. Why is Sasha Banks and Bayley against SmackDown and Nikki Bella? They've had no reason to do it. And now Charlotte can just snap a finger and be like, hey. And then everyone jumps the rail and attacks them like there's some sort of outsiders. Like that doesn't make sense.
Yeah, well, it doesn't make sense for their characters at all. It doesn't make sense for their relationship with Charlotte. Like it just doesn't make sense.
Or the role they're trying to portray in society.
And what's funny is that would have been so easy. All you do is you have the SmackDown heels come in to protect their team, and that's okay. Like you're protecting your show because there are these invaders. That's okay. They're not necessarily coming in to protect Nikki. They're just like, hey, get off our show. Okay, so that makes sense in context of everyone's characters. And then who do they go after? They go after Sasha and Bayley, the conscientious objectors who are maybe on the outside of the ring or maybe just hanging out in the corner like, why are we doing this? Like, then you get them involved in the whole, inter-show rivalry without them breaking their characters. They still, like, everyone is still playing to their character despite being in this interbrand rivalry.
Or just
Like,
rule Sasha.
it's so just freaking simple. Like, it wasn't that hard.
Just rule Sasha and Bailey out of that, and just have Charlotte come down with Dana Brooke and Nia Jax and just invade SmackDown. Just not do the same thing as the men, but it's just the three of them.
Just
attacking Nikki Bella.
Have the bad guys show up, and then have the good guys defend, and that's it.
That's it. And that's what I hated, and I also hated it on Raw to an extent, although I really loved the ending. So this is nitpicking on that, but it's the SmackDown version of this with the women that really made the Raw point stand out for me. It's like, why are they on the same page? What happened to make them on the same page? They had a match, they still hate each other, they're still fighting in storylines, in interviews, in backstage, and now all of a sudden they're just going to stand arm in arm?
Yeah, at least the guys all hated each other, right? Like, at least they stayed within their characters, and you're sort of slowly building back to that Shield reunion, whether it's just two guys or maybe even somehow three, which I'll touch on that in a little bit.
I really wish they power bombed Ambrose. I think that would have sent more of a message of, hey, it's just us versus you guys now.
Yeah, but I guess that's my whole playing to the character thing, where they went after, you had the guys who are essentially your top baby faces on Raw now, kind of, and it sort of moves Rollins more into that babyface role and moves him more into, hey, me and Roman are more alike than we are different anymore.
Yeah, I mean,
and they're against the top heel of SmackDown. Like, it made, like, I liked that because it was the exact opposite of what we were just talking about. They play to their characters and to the characters, to the roles that they're moving into.
And SmackDown being the ultimate go-home show because it's the last, basically live. It's the last live show before the pay-per-view. It's like it started off high with the Intercontinental Championship, and then Kalisto winning, okay, because he's our challenger for the Cruiserweight title, and then the women did their thing. And then it's like a 16-man tag match versus tag teams that don't matter on the roster. Your Survivor Series tag team set of tag teams versus like some generic set of tag teams that they just made up with the extras in the division. Like, how was that supposed to go? And then Undertaker returned on the cutting edge. It's just kind of like, well, okay, good speech by the Undertaker at the end, but like the whole show was kind of backwards, and then just leading up to the return of the Undertaker. And it wasn't about, hey, Survivor Series is 5 days away. It really kind of failed in that.
That's absolutely true. As a go-home show, it wasn't a good go-home show. As a what happens after Survivor Series, it was probably... It was a good show.
I'm not even sure it was a good show for a 900th episode, But,
sure. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, for follow-up after Survivor Series, you've set the stakes now. Like, which there are no stakes, right? There's no stakes in any of the Survivor Series matches.
There's stakes in the other matches.
Yeah, there's stakes in all the other matches. But you've sort of set stakes for at least the SmackDown side of, hey, if you guys lose, there's hell to pay.
No, Raw said that. That was Raw.
No.
That was Stephanie said that.
Taker said that.
But Stephanie also said if her team doesn't win, they'll be...
Then they said it on both shows.
Yeah. So...
Yeah, but what's worse, for your character, it's worse if Stephanie slaps you.
Right.
For you as a competitor, it's worse if you have to have a match with the dead man.
Yeah. Well, let's start talking about the matches now.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the tag team match first, and I'm not going to list all the competitors in this, and I really don't want to run through this in order of elimination and stuff like that. It's going to take too long. Which team wins, and maybe survivors, if you want to put survivors into the mix or whatever, and ultimately, what does it mean towards anything if one team wins or the other, basically?
I honestly don't think this match matters at all.
I think the only way this match
peak
matters is
capacity.
because the women's match is going to go the other way, and then the men's match is going to be the tiebreaker.
Sure.
So,
Yeah, it's really just a hash mark on the wall. So I, I'm sure it'll be enjoyable, and I suspect you've got it in the right place that it will lead off the show.
if not be on the pre-show.
Nah.
Are they going to make this 4 hours? Because they don't have a lot of matches for it to
Yeah,
be
they
4
did.
hours. Did they?
It's a 6 hour day. It's 2 hours of kickoff. And
So
4
did they
hours.
add anything for the kickoff then? Let me look at that while you talk about this match.
Yeah. Well, I don't look quick because I don't have much to say. I suspect we'll have some. I suspect that this is probably the match where we have someone walk out. I and I say that even though I'm going to call that shot again later, but
I have a
could
feeling we
see-
can call that shot in every single Survivor Series match, and I hope that doesn't fit the template.
Yeah, me too. But I will say I could see the club walking out on this match, and yeah, I mean that's really the only super compelling thing I could see, and maybe Jordan and Gable actually get this win, so it pushes them more toward more into the story of it's time for them to actually go for the titles now. So maybe they pull it out forever for the team. Maybe you make them, Super Cena strong, and they get several eliminations. That could be a fun way to book it. So,
I mean, as far as walking, I mean, we already have the first team. I don't want to do eliminations, but we put Primo and Epico on one side. We put Tyler Breeze and Fandango on the other side. I'm pretty sure we have which teams are going to get eliminated first from their respective sides, just based on that.
they can surprise us though. Maybe
No.
maybe the fashion police will write everybody tickets and everybody will just leave and get counted out.
Maybe. Sheamus and Cesaro have a problem, so one of them can walk out on the other. Like you said, the club. I feel like this is going to fit a mold for the day where we have those people who are all on the same page at the end of their show, then reverting back to their rivalries outside of that show and hating each other and walking out on each other, and I don't need this kind of stuff.
And again, fitting with the this doesn't even make sense thing, the Usos doing their big babyface dive on everybody was also it's a great move, but it was stupid.
Or laughing at everybody when
or being friendly guys in the locker room. It's just like, do you remember these characters you've been for the past month?
It's
that
like
everyone has loved.
Yeah. It's like, forget about roles. If you were on Raw, you were a babyface for the Raw side. If you were on SmackDown, you were a babyface for the SmackDown side because you represented the brand. It doesn't make sense. I'm gonna say Jordan and Gable win as well, but they might be with other people. But New Day get eliminated because of the club. Like, you know what I mean? Like, New Day is not gonna get eliminated by SmackDown people. They're gonna get eliminated because of the club, because of Sheamus, because of something. And
I like the club essentially taking New Day out. Like maybe someone for New Day is the legal man and they get thrown out of the ring and Gallows just starts beating on them or something like that. That would be pretty compelling.
And then the Usos take advantage of that because they're the only real team on the other side that would.
They're really the only heels, aren't they?
Fandango and Breeze are, but now they're a comedy act, and
they're more comedy tween.
So American Alpha, I'm not gonna say sole survivors, but and we'll play.
I can see them winning it.
I can see them winning it as well.
And they get the most out of a win. Like, out of everyone in the match, they get the most out of a win.
Yeah, but if the Usos are with them, now the Usos could be contending for the title again, and then American Alpha can fight the Revival, whatever, like we talked about on the other show. But, all right, let's talk Cruiserweights here. The Brian Kendrick Cruiserweight Champion versus Kalisto. So like, what, second, third Cruiserweight event in? And we have WWE guys fighting for the Cruiserweight title exclusively, and not technically Cruiserweights that were brought in for the division. Yeah, well, it was gonna happen, so might as well happen the third month in. What do you see happening here? By the way, Kalisto representing SmackDown. If he wins the title and the division go to SmackDown. So what do you got on this one?
If he wins the title or if he wins the match?
Well, I'm not going to get too play on words here, but I'm going to say he wins the title. He'll get in, and it's kind of like we're reading into whatever they sort of said.
Well, yeah. Well, what I was going to call is that Kendrick loses the match, but retains the title. He loses by DQ, retains the title, but because he loses the Cruiserweights move to SmackDown. That was going to be my call.
I'm putting this on right now. If Kalisto wins, SmackDown Live gets the entire Cruiserweight division. That is the
Doesn't say wins the title, right?
Doesn't say wins the title. It says if he wins. Just trying to see now in the article if it says if Kalisto manages to walk away with the title, something like that. It really doesn't. So I'm not going to get too. I'm going to consider this like as he has to win the title. I mean, if you want to call it as if he just wins,
I'm going to call it the other way. But yeah, because Kalisto, awful cruiserweight champion. Like
absolutely,
we've seen, and I'm not saying,
but marketable because the mask and because kids.
Sure, he's a marketable babyface going for the title, but he's not someone to roll with it, and he's not someone that is going to build up the rest of the division because he's this firecracker of a guy that when he's got the title on him, there's no reason for him to lose. It's bad for him to lose, but it's good for him to chase. So why not win the match and the division comes to SmackDown, which makes more sense since 205 Live, which we can get on that in a second. But anyway, that's still how I'm going to call it, even if it's implied that he has to win the title. I'm going to say he doesn't. He just has to win the match, and so he's going to win by DQ.
Yeah, same as you. I mean, listen, if it is truly, in fact, if Kalisto is declared the victor, then SmackDown gets the thing. I'll go and just say if Kalisto wins, meaning if he wins the title, then the division's on the line, just to have a different point of view here, but it's still the same. And Kalisto wins the title and SmackDown, and because it just logistically makes sense. We talked about this last week. We're going to tape a show. We're not going to tape a show. We're going to layer a show live after SmackDown featuring the Cruiserweights. Well, why would the Cruiserweights be on Monday? Like, why would they double book people? Or
why would they be anywhere but with the SmackDown?
Right. And the counter argument to that is, well, it doesn't necessarily have to be the guys that wrestle on Raw wrestling on 205 Live. It could be Kendrick versus TJ Perkins on Monday night, and it could be Drew Gulak and Nice versus Cedric and Rich Swann and then Daivari versus Noam Gallagher after that. You know what I mean? It doesn't have to be the same people, but I feel like they want to take the Cruiserweight division out of Raw already and move it to this new show, and then maybe we'll get a match within SmackDown, or we'll just, it'll just be a SmackDown branded. And again, it's not a branded show, 205 Live. But if it's on Tuesday night, it's sure going to feel a hell of a lot of SmackDown if it's Eiffel Towered between SmackDown and SmackDown talking smack. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
I'll go the same. I'll go to the same and say, what the hell is his name?
You're gonna say Kalisto actually takes the title.
But I'll say Kalisto takes the title because I'll be under the impression that he has to actually physically win the title to take the title to the other thing. And if he takes the title with him, well, the division has to go with him anyway because it's exclusive to the division kind of stuff.
And by the way, so let me rant on this super quick. I understand that you need to tell people about this show beforehand, but aren't you just totally overplaying or just you're laying all the cards out on the table?
The show doesn't start the Tuesday after Survivor Series, if I'm correct, right? Oh no, it does.
It starts, hang on. It starts the 29th. So actually, no, it's a week removed. So I don't know. Maybe now I'm thinking about that. Maybe Kalisto just outright loses, and there's shenanigans, and for once, Daniel Bryan puts his foot down and doesn't look past something that Kendrick does and says, now, wait a second, you've got to win fair and square. And then maybe they do something to have a rematch of sorts.
Well, why would it be up to Daniel Bryan to dictate that if the title is Raw's property?
Fair enough. Good point. Yeah,
But,
I don't know.
Well, I mean,
I'm
listen, anything could happen because it's
go
wrestling, so, you could have
Sure.
drew anything to connect the two, and it probably would have made sense in the wrestling bubble, but, yeah.
And I'm not going to go back on what I was saying, but yeah, I just feel like, man, they're playing with their cards totally up, and
Why did the show have to start then? Why couldn't the show start 3 weeks after or the beginning of the new year, and then just have the title in limbo? You know what I mean? They could have done so much with it, other than make it apparently obvious that the Cruiserweight division is going to Tuesday night. Except for the fact, if Cruiserweight division doesn't go to Tuesday night, then it's going to be like, well, what is really the meaning of 205? We're never going to see type. It's not a Raw, it's not a SmackDown branded show, so it's not really to say that it'd be a Raw branded show still, because it would be the Cruiserweights would be a product of Raw. So it'd be like we're watching SmackDown, then Raw, and then talking Smack. It would kind of feel out of place, and it just doesn't make sense. But speaking of doesn't make sense, can we talk about the women's Survivor Series match?
Yeah, let's go.
I'm looking at this, and I just say, maybe at the end it's going to be Charlotte and Sasha versus Becky and Nikki, and it's just going to be the two powerhouses of each division left. And I can't help but feel that Natalya is going to cost her team, and being the coach outside the ring, and just somehow cost her team, and that's everything's gonna have, because listen, it's why the invasion angle didn't really work, because WWE had to win, because when you make the other team win, you're basically saying they were better than us, and you don't want to do that. Well, in a situation where you own both brands and you're treating them as equal, and they don't have a history of being not your brand in the past, well, how would you have Raw beat SmackDown and say Raw's better? Well, you want people to watch both shows. So you're going to have some sort of idiocy during the match to say, but they won, but if it wasn't for this, and then that if it wasn't for this is going to continue on as a storyline for that brand for a month or whatever. And I think that storyline is going to be Natalya costing Becky the match. And Charlotte and Sasha will be the sole survivors, Duke.
You're probably right, but
you didn't even call me on that. I thought you were going to call me out on that.
No.
Don't you hate when they do that? When two people win, they say the sole survivors?
Stupid. It's like, do you not know what the word soul means? Like SOLE means it's from the same word that gives us solo, which means one. So there's no such thing as soul survivors. You're right. So I'm going to say you're pretty close. I suspect Natalya cost them in some way, but I suspect she costs it. I suspect she causes Nikki's elimination so that Natalya-Nikki program can start and Carmella can move on to something else, like maybe Naomi. But I don't know that this is what would happen, but I wouldn't put it past WWE to have the four horsewomen be the final four.
Becky versus three?
Becky versus the other three.
Okay, I mean, if we want to go there now, she eliminates Bayley first, we're back to the same spot. Sasha and Charlotte versus...
Sure, yeah.
Well, no, I had Becky and Nikki, but... Okay,
yeah, I could see us getting pretty close to a very similar outcome on both sides, but I could see that, we're back where this started. We're back where this whole revolution started, because they have to just keep calling back to it instead of moving on.
And here's the thing. Alicia Fox causes Nia Jax to get eliminated. Carmella causes Nikki Bella to get eliminated. It's just we have this situation there where it's just like, well, I don't feel like we're going to get 5-on-5 and not have each team implode in each of these Survivor Series matches. What probably would happen is Sasha and Charlotte versus Alexa and Becky, kind of like the bitter rivals.
Oh yeah, that's
common goal
that's
ending.
possible too.
And
Yeah, sure.
Alexa gets eliminated, causes Becky to get eliminated, and then like Charlotte and Sasha sole survivors. I don't know, but something like that. But I don't feel like it's going to be 5-on-5 clean and a decisive winner. I think there's always going to be that
There's
make
some
make
sort of
them look
shenanigans.
strong angle by distraction roll up, and then you didn't really lose because you lost via roll up. So
Although that's a legitimate wrestling move.
one side's not stronger than the other because of that. You know what I mean? So who are you saying is going to be the winner here?
Reluctantly Raw, probably.
Yeah. For fun, Sasha and Charlotte at the end, or Sasha, Charlotte, and Bailey, or just Sasha and Bailey. Which one? Or just Nia Jax. It's your call. I'm not going to put words in your mouth.
Dana Brooke.
Dana Brooke is the absolute. That is the best answer you've ever given me, by the way. All right, here we go. Intercontinental title match. And I want to clarify. Hold on. In parentheses, actually, it doesn't say in parentheses. But I guess it's not a division. So Sami Zayn has to win the title to bring the title back to Raw. I think this one's cut and dry. Because to have the title, you got to win the title.
Yes, of course.
Give me your outcome for this match, and then I'm going to hit you with mine.
Can I shenanigans and all? Can I do that?
I mean, yeah, if you don't want to take 30 minutes.
No.
Okay.
I'm just gonna knock it out.
Yeah.
Sami Zayn wins. Sami Zayn decides to take the title to SmackDown.
Are you ready for what I say?
Go.
Miz retains. Miz walks out on Daniel Bryan in his contract and signs with Raw.
Yeah, so the exact opposite. Yeah.
So the IC title
like
goes...
whoever wins, to me, this is going to... I feel like this is going to be a mirror of whatever happens with the Cruiserweights.
Well, no, not necessarily. Well,
yeah, okay.
Yes, necessarily, but not necessarily in the sense that I think Kalisto's going to win, SmackDown's going to get the Cruiserweight title, so that means, well, Raw's going to get the Intercontinental title, and Sami Zayn's going to win. Nope. Miz is going to win.
Sure.
And then the Miz is
take
going to say,
title
screw
over.
you, Daniel Bryan, I'll go where I'm appreciated, and go to Raw with the title.
Yeah.
And that's how it's going to happen. It's not
Yeah,
going to be...
Yeah, that was one of my two options, is that whoever wins, they're taking the title to the opposing show as rebellion to their leadership, and that works for either one of them.
We're looking for a reason for Daniel Bryan versus The Miz to matter if they cannot have a match. Well, they've talked contracts. They talked being a reputable champion. They talked not liking each other. Well, then Miz wins the title back again, defends it in SmackDown's honor, and just says, you know what, Daniel Bryan, you've been bullying me. Be a star. I'm going to be a star. I'm going to go to Raw. And then there you go. So...
I like it.
There's a little swerve there, and you got a little swerve of your own. I like it. Bold predictions. Do we have that?
I suspect it'll be a great match, though.
Listen, I'm not going to agree. I'm actually pretty excited for the pay-per-view overall. I think it's very interesting. And again, like Hell in a Cell.
You said I'm not going to agree. You mean disagree?
I'm not going to disagree. Yeah, okay.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
I just don't want to be on record as agreeing with you for anything. So I'll just...
Fair enough.
Even if I agree with you, I'll be like, I disagree, and I'll just say the same thing you said. Except I'll say I'll disagree beforehand. So stuff like that. I'm looking forward to this as a whole, because unlike Hell in a Cell, where it's a manufactured rivalry, match based on whatever rivalries had at the time, this is something that has meaning. And it has a little bit more meaning, Raw versus SmackDown, except they just never weighed the actual Survivor Series matches to have the stipulations. They made the other matches on the card have the stipulations. It's like, like I'm doing my brain exploding kind of emote right now. It's like, how does that make sense? Shouldn't the winner of shouldn't the Intercontinental Championship be on the line? Yeah, shouldn't the winner of the series of Survivor Series matches win something in a bet instead of like the minor matches mixed in? But whatever. It still works for me as a whole. So let's get to the men's Survivor Series match, because I have a hard time believing that Lesnar and Goldberg won't be the main event.
Right.
Whereas this should be the main event.
Sure.
I mean,
especially in light of Taker's comments.
yeah,
Like to
I'm
me,
I'm looking at the sides involved, Duke, and I'm having a hard time just like picturing people getting eliminated or picturing people being left at the end of the match, and a combination of the two. Um, I'm gonna say Team Raw wins only based on the fact that, hey, why is Shane McMahon in the match? Well, let's go back to the beginning of the brand split where Vince McMahon says, "I want to see you guys kill each other," or whatever he said to him, slit each other's throats to him and Stephanie. This is the first time we're ever going to go head to head. Shane's involved in the match, and Shane couldn't get it done for his own company. So,
sure.
cue up Vince McMahon. And a Vince McMahon appearance, and whatever. Shane's on probation. Shane this, Shane that. Shane's got to win it back. And maybe Shane gets into a little bit of a storyline himself with The Undertaker again. Maybe.
Nah, it's not Taker. It's the rumor is Shane and Lesnar, which is stupid. But
well, they set that seed already. But how is that punishment for Shane on SmackDown if Lesnar is a Raw guy?
You have to face our monster at the Royal Rumble.
Or a global monster, or like, listen, if there was a stipulation on the
you
line
have to face Raw's monster at the Royal Rumble. I mean,
but Raw
maybe not
winning
at
should have
Royal
been
Rumble.
like victory in and of itself. Why all of a sudden would Shane have to fight another Raw guy and be at the subject of losing? Like that's the part. Like I'm not saying that against you.
I
I'm just saying.
I get what you're saying.
Like how is that punishment for Shane losing to fight the same match where he can redeem himself? It's not really, too much.
Yeah, I don't know. You're right. It doesn't make sense, but I feel like you're right in that he's going not necessarily he's going to lose it for them, but he's going to be on the losing side, and that's going to have ramifications. But I don't think that means he moves, especially after Taker's rub to him. I don't see that starting a program with them again. Like I see this match starting a program with Taker, but not Shane.
What about a situation where, again, I'm convinced Shane is going to be the final pin submission or cost his team the match because it just makes sense, going forward. They can do so much with it, especially with, the Authority and Vince McMahon and stuff like that, and like fodder on Raw about Stephanie's brother, stuff like that. It just can do that kind of stuff. What about a situation where because Shane lost and SmackDown lost, that everyone's not buddy-buddy with Shane anymore on SmackDown. They resent him. They look at him differently backstage. Now people start getting, like, there's more of a aggressiveness to SmackDown where it's not like we're all holding hands backstage and singing Kumbaya with our commissioner. Now it's like, well, now we got a little bit of a abrasiveness kind of situation going on where Shane's now rubbing everybody the wrong way, and there's going to be conflicts resulting from it, and people doing things they're not supposed to do, kind of stuff. I don't know exactly what.
Sure, no, I get that, and it sort of connects to, like, it won't sound like it when I say it, but it sort of connects to my other sort of shenanigan for this match. And do you want me to go into that now, or we're going to keep on the track that we're on right now?
No, go ahead.
Well, I think AJ walks out on this match.
Okay.
And this is where I called my shot earlier, where I was going to say this again.
Excuse me.
I think for some reason AJ just says, "I'm done." And then it leads to, like you said, Shane getting pinned, and SmackDown would have had a shot had AJ not left. And this leads to Taker blaming, rightfully, instead of placing the blame on Shane, even though Shane can, be the guy that lost it for them in the heel's eyes. So it creates that conflict there. To everyone else, and especially Taker, who put out that warning, it's all on AJ, and he's the biggest heel of the show now because he abandoned the show. and he needs to be held accountable for it, and that's where Taker comes.
I like what you say. You know why? I'm looking at the picture of the superstars involved in the match, and I see 3 people holding titles over their shoulder. Roman Reigns, Kevin Owens, and AJ Styles. So when one side wins, the other side loses, someone's world champion is getting pinned or submitted. If AJ walks out, then that scenario no longer exists. He quit on his own terms. He doesn't have to be shamed in being in the loss or anything. Certainly not against WWE booking to put AJ in a situation.
Sure.
The guy who lost to James Ellsworth twice in a situation where losing to Kevin Owens makes him, unmarketable anymore or not reputable or whatever, what have you. But him walking out now after losing to James Ellsworth twice and not losing in the Survivor Series, technically.
Solidify, like it speaks to his character. It makes him the ultimate bad guy of SmackDown because he walked out on everybody else, and now he's pitted against the Phenom because the Phenom put that warning out there, and the warning's got to mean something. It can't just fall flat. And honestly, like for the sake of everyone, for the sake of not seeing Stephanie dress down everyone again, it's so weird. I want SmackDown to lose just so I don't have to see Stephanie like just rant at people because I actually kind of over that.
I actually like Stephanie and her role when people lose and stuff like that. I like the authority role because because there's always consequences. There's like if you lose, if you're not doing your job, if you lose the title, like you run into a situation with Triple H and Stephanie and it just creates story. It's kind of like why Austin versus McMahon worked, but that was on a larger scale. The template for the storyline is still there though, boss versus, underachieving or not achieving employee and stuff like that. I kind of like that. At the same time, if she wins.
Well, the problem is there's never, and I don't want to get on this soapbox.
The NWO
like many
theory.
People have. What's that?
It's exactly why the NWO was what it is. Go ahead, finish what you were going to say, and I'll
Well, no, what I was going to say is there's no comeuppance.
Right.
Because she slaps people down, literally slaps people down. Frickin' Tom Phillips, a backstage interviewer, gets gets the crap slapped out of him multiple times in an interview. There's absolutely no there's no comeuppance, there's no retaliation. All he can do is take it. No one else can defend him. And she does that over and over and over again. And I used to
forgot about the next week.
Like it's like it never happened. Right. And she's be a star the next week or whatever, and talking about whatever their cause of the month is. And it's just like, man, dude, that's like that. They haven't done that in a while, and I just don't want to see them go back there again.
Yeah, and it's the NWO.
Sort of a weird reason to say, please let SmackDown lose, but that is one of my reasons. Is I just don't want to see her dressing down everybody again, who can do nothing to speak against that. Who can do who can retaliate in no way, especially when it's physical. That pisses me off, honestly.
And it's the NWO theory where
equality, the equality of women can hit men can't touch a woman.
Where the NWO used to come out every week and no one could touch them. Like not even men versus women, it was men versus men, and it was booked where NWO came out and nobody could touch them. The only thing you could do was join them, and then it got old and it got stale and it got it's just nothing. Like you had to create another NWO to fight the NWO, and that's the only reason why.
Which that was like backstage, like that was why people started joining the NWO, is because they didn't want to get
camera time.
It was a shoot thing. They didn't actually want to get beat up all the time because you're still taking a bunch of boots to your gut, even if they're not full force. You're the guy on the ground that everybody's towering over.
Well, it also hurts your stock in the company. It hurts your marketability if you ever get stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, that's kind of like the situation you would have with Stephanie, except for the one time Brie Bella stood up for herself, and then, you had the Stephanie versus Brie. I was really hoping Stephanie joined Team Raw, That would have been cool if Nia Jax laid out Alicia Fox and they were left without a member, or she was the fifth member and she just announced, like Mick Foley announced her. We didn't talk about that last week, and I never even considered that a possibility until right now. But if Mick Foley announced her as the fifth member, I think it would have been huge. And I wonder if that fell on deaf ears with me. I wonder if that was the implication of mystery fifth member. Well, Shane just got annoyed. Did Shane? No, that was the next day that Shane got put on his team. I think that was the next day, so I don't even think that happened yet. So, that would have been cool if that happened. But, I would have liked to see that, because now you got both McMahons fighting for their own thing. It makes sense. Yeah. But,
which is weird, because she's always doing these midnight workout things like Triple H. So you'd think that she's getting in some sort of ring-ready shape. And there's always been rumors that she's going to get in the ring with someone. So you'd think this would be the time to do it, but
they're saving it for Ronda Rousey.
Man, that's dumb. But anyway.
All right, Team Raw wins, right?
Yeah, probably.
All right, let's talk about the main event now. Yep. Lesnar versus Goldberg. The match made for WWE video games, basically. Is Lesnar on the cover?
What is it? Fantasy? Yeah.
Fantasy Warfare. But I think now they're
Fantasy Warfare.
I think now they're globally applying that moniker to all the matches because it's Raw versus SmackDown.
Sure.
I don't see Goldberg winning. I don't see them ending this Lesnar tear where Goldberg gets a win, because the only person that beat Lesnar legitimately, like one-on-one and not being not a triple threat match, has been Undertaker. But that was with the caveat of Undertaker tapped out of something. You know what I mean? Undertaker tapped out of a move, referee didn't see it, or the bell rang early because Undertaker tapped out, and the ring keeper, whatever shenanigans they tried to pull over, make us feel stupid about during that match with Charles Robinson. I don't feel like Goldberg's the guy, and we talk about this all the time. Like, we don't know who the guy is that's going to beat Lesnar. But I just don't feel like they've built up for this.
Yeah. I mean, Goldberg's promos were great, but they were kind of just the same thing every week. And they were still good, but they were the same thing every week. And then Brock was sort of the same Brock of Brock does what Brock wants, and Brock doesn't give a bleep about your
Brock will eat your children.
Yeah.
Will tear out your heart and eat your children. Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't know.
And Goldberg has the win. He's 1-0. Well, so that means Lesnar has to win, and then maybe have a third match where Lesnar wins again.
Well, and there's also the fact that they'll be in Toronto, so Brock is billed from Canada when he fights in MMA.
Yeah,
so
there are certain times to put stock in hometown.
Well,
and I don't know if this is
but there's also Toronto that's just generally weird as far as how they react to things. So so it's there's a chance that Goldberg doesn't get the big Goldberg chance, that they're going to, that even just to spite WWE or just to spite the booking, that we won't get Goldberg chance. We'll get Gilbert chance or something.
Well, let's not remember the last time these two wrestled on their way out of the company, the crowd hijacked the match and booed them both.
Yeah, exactly.
And only cheered Austin, who was the referee.
Because everyone was so smart that, they just decided they wanted the match to be ruined. I saw someone talk about, I'm going to go back and watch, regret or, wish me luck. I'm going to go back and watch that other match. Or they said something to that effect, just implying it was going to be a negative experience, but they just kind of wanted to rewatch it. And I was just like, watch it on mute and see if it changes your opinion.
Like, I don't think it was a bad match. I don't really remember it because I was kind of out of wrestling.
Sure.
At that time, but I don't.
But if you watch it on mute, not as bad of a match as everyone tries to say it is.
Right.
Because people let the crowd influence how they see a match way, way, way too much. I enjoy when a crowd goes with a match like it makes sense for them to. I do. I really do. But I've gotten to a point, and I'm not trying to act like I'm above everybody else, because bad matches can be bad. Yeah, I'm not trying to act like it, because I just am. No.
Right.
But I've gotten to a point where even when the crowd's not into it or whatever, I just pay attention to what they're doing and what they're trying to, the story they're telling, even if people don't get it. And I feel like they told a pretty good story in that match, but the crowd, everybody knew they were leaving, so they're like, "Oh, well, since you're leaving, you don't love wrestling like we love wrestling." Okay, whatever. But anyway, so I don't see either of them winning, or if it's, or it will be sort of a winning. It'll be sort of a win, like when Lesnar didn't really win, but Heyman announced he won with the Undertaker match. So I suspect there to be shenanigans, and I don't know that that necessarily leads to another match. What I would like to see is it leads to the return of another guy who's beat Brock Lesnar,
Hulk Hogan,
Kurt Angle.
Kurt Angle.
I think this would be a really interesting spot for Kurt Angle to show up and make a just have a quick little run to WrestleMania, be done, get his name in the hat for Hall of Fame next year, and be done with it.
We talked one-offs when we did our takeover show with Mickey James, and we also mentioned Cody Rhodes. Man, one-off for Nakamura against Angle.
For Nakamura against Angle.
At whatever the next takeover would be.
Yeah. Have Angle come back and
I want to wrestle the best in the
bit.
world, and this guy right here is the best in the world, and I never crossed paths with him. I don't even know if that's true, but there you go. And then just have use Angle in NXT for like a match or two, and then I guess just test the waters and maybe.
You can have Angle come back at Survivor Series, and then he says, and then he just ignores Brock, like just to make Brock mad. He says, you know what? No, I'm gonna go have some tune-up matches, and so he goes, and he has
that kind of I'm gonna have tune-up matches kind of suggests that Nakamura is not good.
I don't mean
I mean like just doing stuff like that anyway. That just doesn't fit. I don't know. WWE is weird when it comes to putting things. But I'm not just saying Angle. Like if we're gonna do Angle versus Lesnar, let's do Angle versus Lesnar. That's cool in it itself.
Okay, I got you.
Angle's debut, emergence is probably best done on Raw anyway, and not anywhere else. But man, like a one shot, if that's never gonna happen, just like a one shot versus Nakamura. I mean, that would be so cool. While Bobby Roode just does something else and whatever. But
I will say that without some sort of fun ending like that people are going to get really, really excessively annoyed with all these flat endings for the biggest shows of the year.
Well, 6 hours, and all we're going to do is have Lesnar
6 hours. Win. Yeah, 6 hours, and we're just going to have Lesnar bust somebody's head open. 6 hours, and we're gonna battle to a non-finish with two old guys. Yeah, it's, and I know that I'm calling the non-finish, but I really think that's the best way to do this match because I don't think you have Goldberg come back just to lose. Like I don't know. I know he doesn't care.
Then there's the story about letting his kid down and wanting one more match, and then it leads to a third match. So it's kind of storyline wise, it could.
But then he just loses again. I mean, he's not going to win.
Well, then you could do the non-finish.
Yeah, I guess.
Then you can do the Big Show comes back and choke slams everyone kind of finish and lead the Big Show. Well, Big Show is going to fight Braun Strowman at some point. So
I have one thing to say to that.
What's that?
Well, that's it.
That's the second show in a row you've sung.
Yeah.
Can we talk about a little bit of aftermath? We talked about Sami Zayn winning the title and joining SmackDown, and Miz winning the title and joining Raw. So that's fitting. I have a picture of the Miz with a Raw T-shirt on right now on my screen. I don't know who's celebrating in the background. It looks like CM Punk, Del Rio, and A-Rai. So all those guys are going to come back too.
All three of those guys are going to come back.
Yeah, because the Miz won the Intercontinental Championship, defended SmackDown's honor, and is going to spit in Daniel Bryan's face and join Raw. All those three guys are going to come back too. So that's my bold prediction. What's yours?
I've kind of made all mine. I suspect that the men's match leads to Taker versus AJ. and then that will spin off to, oh, you're here to stick around now. Oh, well, I guess I will too. John Cena.
See, the
Versus
problem
Undertaker.
is we already booked the next pay-per-view main events. Ambrose versus AJ Styles and Reigns versus Owens.
You make a good point.
Not to say that, like, because that even puts more, like, idiocy. I don't even know what the right word was. It makes it more stupid. Stupider. That this Survivor Series is Raw versus SmackDown. That it could have any sort of ramifications on, like, it's like non-canon.
That's a good point. It is. It is sort of non-canon.
It really is. It's like an alternate Marvel universe. This is WWE 616, and we have no idea what's going on because it's like it doesn't make sense. These people are friendly. They're teaming. They're not friendly. They're not teaming. It's just
yeah. It's all that other stuff that we talked
Mick
about.
Foley's going to wake up on Monday after Survivor Series holding a snow globe with the building that says Saint Elsewhere inside. And he's not going to know what's going on. And no one's going to understand that reference, but it happened. That was a reference.
Yeah, and I want to throw something out there just for all the DC fans. Or it's Earth 52. Yeah, there. Okay, sorry.
Earth 2.
I just wanted to, well, Earth 2, Earth 52, Earth 7, whatever it is, Earth 19.
Earth 2 is their big parallel universe.
Sure.
And I think 616 was the Ultimate Universe. 18. I don't know if that's the real universe or the Ultimate Universe. I forget. They killed it anyway. It doesn't matter.
I just wanted to make sure we covered both sides of the comic gambit, so people don't think we're just Marvel marks, even though we met playing Marvel heroes. So we're Marvel marks.
Yes, we did. I think I was Squirrel Girl.
I don't know.
I was playing a furry in a video game. That's how I met you. That's weird. Man, that's weird.
Hot.
It's weird. I can make it weird.
Yep.
Let's get weird. We're done.
Let's get weird. Let's get weird. Let's get weird. Do I end it here? Do I end it?
I don't know. I have stuff to do.
So
I don't really want to throw my headset because then I just got to pick it back up. So let's pretend I threw it.
Okay. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever it is for you. This has been the Survivor Series prediction show from GnWC. I'm the Duke. He's the Larry. And bye.
Steve Blackman.
Yes!